So guys, welcome to this video. I'll be discussing a bit of this new iPhoto book and kind of go into not a really a deep analysis of the photos, but just kind of my thoughts as a photographer. All right, I should probably mention that. So I'm a hobbyist photographer. I'm not a pro by any means. I mainly do street photography, landscape photography, travel photography, and whatnot. I actually don't do many portraits, though I do have some experience in them. I've shot a couple of photo shoots. I do have some knowledge of them, and what else do I have to get out of the way? Yeah, anyways, let's jump into it before I start talking about random stuff. So the first photo that I kind of want to just discuss is this group photo of the girls right here. And the one thing that really stood out to me first when I first saw this photo of them is the immediate symmetry that you have in this photo. So, this kind of split in the book helps notice it relatively fast as they split right in the middle. So you can see Wang Yan and Eugene, they're, the same distance from each other. And then you go more, further out. And then you have Gal and Isol, same distance from each other from the center. And then you go out again. And then you have Day and you have Liz right here. Again, same distance. And then what makes it even better is you have these two beach umbrellas distance from each other as well. So obviously it's not perfectly symmetrical as you see in the back right here. Thus this glare is kind of getting in the way. Because it's the world, you can't exactly fix the background to be perfectly symmetrical. But the girls, the umbrella, the foreground right here is symmetrical. So that's the best that you can do with that. And also another thing that I also wanted to mention as well, this isn't really pertaining to this exact photo, but just kind of overall street photography, as that's the thing that I'm most experienced in, is when using a wide lens like this, such as a 24 millimeter or a 20 millimeter, and the difference between, focal lengths for those who don't know and who aren't photographers is, for example, let me show you my lens right here. So this is a zoom lens right here. And this is a 24 to 70 zoom lens, which means that if I have this lens on a camera, I can basically zoom out, which would be, for this lens, the most I can zoom out is 24 millimeters, which is kind of roughly what you would see on your phone, for example, if you go on the camera app on your phone. And that's roughly around 24, 28 millimeters or so. And if I basically zoom like this, you can see the barrel of the lens right here kind of extending. Well, not kind of, it is extending. And when this barrel extends, that means that I basically can zoom into the photo, which would make it more telephoto, as we call it in photography. I get more zoomed into my picture. And not only that, but there's compression in the photo, which I'll kind of get into that later with some of these photos. But basically, that's what I mean by focal length, is the wider you have your lens, whether that's a zoom lens like this or a prime lens like this. Focus. There you go. A prime lens like this. Prime lens means it's a fixed focal length. And that just means that I can't zoom like my zoom lens. My prime lens is set, and once I put this lens on my camera, that's the only focal length I will be at for the entire time I have the lens on my camera. So for this lens, it would be an 85 millimeter. So I will be at an 85 millimeter fixed focal length with this 85 millimeter prime lens. Whereas if I had my zoom lens, then I could zoom from 24 to 35 to 44.4 and whatnot. So that's the difference between a prime and a zoom lens. But yeah, anyways, back to my original comment. So with my original thought, when you're on wider focal lengths, it's a bit more difficult to stay clean. And what I mean stay clean is have elements in the photo that you actually want in your photo. So for example, if this was, if this is a photo shoot, so it's a bit different, which is why I mentioned in the beginning that this doesn't really pertain to this photo exactly. But if this was in a, a street photography setting, or maybe you're doing portraits on the street, for example, I don't know if anyone's seen the G-Idol book. I can actually just take that out right now. So if anyone has seen this photo book before, or the album of G-Idol, for example, right here. So you have Minnie, if any G-Idol fans are out there, cool. What's up? But for example, this photo of Minnie right here in their I Feel photo book kind of album right here. So in this right here, this is your typical kind of street photography setting. Obviously, they probably had it like blocked off to a certain extent so people aren't walking on the sidewalk. But when you're at a wider focal length, it's a bit harder to kind of control the elements within the frame. For example, this car right here. They probably didn't really care about the car in this photo shoot, whether it was there or not, so they just took the picture like this. But if they did care about the car, then it'd be more difficult. If they were a bit zoomed in more with, let's say, a telephoto lens like an 85mm or such, they could have easily zoomed into her face like right here and kind of blur everything out, or maybe even take the car out of the entire picture. So yeah, with this photo, it's probably, again, this was probably their hotel or something, so they didn't have to worry about people walking in the background. But yeah, I originally wanted this video to be kind of short, but I see we're already at 7 minutes, so nice job by me. Anyways, getting on to the next photo. I might split this video into kind of like a two-parter, so if you're interested in that, feel free to leave down in the comments below. Anyways, on to the next photo. We have this picture of Wang Yan right here. Let me make sure the glare is not there. We have this picture of Wang Yan right here. And the first thing that caught my eye with this photo is, let me bring the book closer, is you can see the reflection in her eyes right here. And that's what we call in portrait photography, that's what we call catch light right there. And that basically, catch light, if you've seen a photo between a picture of someone with catch light in their eye and without, you can kind of immediately tell the difference of why catch light is so important. Catch light really brings life into the person in the photo. Without the light in their eyes, it kind of looks like someone with no soul, kind of, which is probably what I would, or the best way that I can explain it. It looks like the person has no soul. There's really no interest. And another reason why catch light is so important is that it immediately draws you into the subject's eye, which in this case, Wang Yan's eye. When I first saw this picture, I was immediately drawn to her eye. And the subject's eye in portrait photography is, especially when a zoomed in portrait like this, not like an environmental portrait where the environment is also important, but in a really close-up portrait where you can see the subject's face, and that's the main thing dominating the entire frame. Wang Yan's face is almost half the picture basically, right? So her face is very important, but the eyes on her face are very important as well. That's probably the most important thing in portraits, her eyes. So having catch light here is very important. So that's the first thing that kind of I noticed when I saw this photo. And another thing is, super important again in portrait photography as well, is the lighting. So you can see on Wang Yan's arm right here, the light was basically above them, probably high noon around, I'd say 1 or 2 p.m. Or maybe 3 p.m. It differs wherever you are in the world. This is Thailand. I've never been to the beach in Thailand, so I don't know for sure. But I'd say high noon. And you can see that with her with the sun on her arm, and it's kind of harsh light. And one way to counteract this is to have reflectors basically on set. If you don't know what reflectors are, let me show you an example with my iPad. So reflectors are something like this. So reflectors right here, you can see that we have the models right here, and you see this. You see this. Probably the photographer's assistant, or someone who their job is to be the reflector. She's holding this kind of tin foil looking substance kind of object, right? And that's a reflector basically. And what that does is when the light shines down onto it, you can bounce the light wherever you want. And when your subject is backlit, for example, let me show an example with my hand actually. So I have my light source right here to the right of me, and you can see that the light is flashing on my hand. But what you can also see is that because the light is flashing on my hand, it leaves kind of a shadow right here on the underside of my hand. And if that was someone's face, it's really dark, right? And when you're taking portraits, you don't want your subject's face to be dark. We can't even see the details of the face as well, right? So for example, if Wang Yan's face wasn't as bright as it is, then maybe we wouldn't notice some features of her face, her nose, her beauty mark right here, her lips, her skin, and so on and so forth, right? Anyways, going on to the third photo. So the first thing that I appreciated when I first saw this ESO picture was the fact that the photographer put her head right at the swimming pool area. And for me, I really like it in my photography when I really distinguish the subject or the most important part of the picture from the background. And in this case, ESO's head right here is put in this spot right here where you can clearly tell that ESO's head. If it was somewhere that blended in with her skin color or with her hair color, it might have been more difficult to distinguish it from the background. But because the background is clearly a different color than her head, it makes it easy to see that her head is, her head. And you can see, oh, this is Isol's face and such and so on. And the second thing that I really appreciate about this picture as well is the color contrast. So the color contrast, these are complementary colors, blue and yellow. And there's a bunch of blue right here and a bunch of yellow right here. There's even some blue on her shirt. And that really makes the picture more visually appealing. So to get more into the theory of color contrast and the color complementary colors and so on, let me show you this website right here. For example, I'm on this Adobe website right here, and you can see this color wheel right here, right? So if I go to complementary colors, basically complementary colors are colors opposite on this color wheel right here. So for example, if I go to blue, you can see that blue is a complementary color of yellow, and yellow, vice versa. Yellow is a complementary color of blue. And what we have right here is basically these colors match really well with each other, and you can see how they just visually appeal to your eyes. They really look good basically together. And that's what this photographer did right here with Isol's picture. You can see that they put, her in a blue outfit right here, or I guess a white outfit with blue stripes. I guess that was more of the stylist, but the photographer had the blue right here of the pool, blue benches, blue outfit, and in this photo, I just really appreciate that complementary color scheme right here. But yeah, anyways, so I'm already at 19 minutes on my camera, which if I cut down all the stuff that isn't important, would be around like 15 minutes or so. I have like 6 more pictures that I want to go through, but yeah, I don't want this video to be too long. Yeah, if you want to hear more about this kind of and analyzing photos and such like that, let me know down in the comments below. For me, when I open an album, the photo book is the thing that I'm most excited about, as that's the thing that I like looking at. I like dissecting these photos. I like kind of breaking them down into just kind of like this, analyzing it into photography techniques, theories such as color schemes and so on. That's it for me today. I'll see y'all next time. This is actually a very fun thing for me to do, and I just hope this was entertaining for you as well. Yeah, anyways, before I start chatting for another 20 minutes or so, talk to you next time. Later.